So this is the 8-inch floppy drive power supply that came out of the cabinet, the 8-inch drive cabinet that I picked up with all that Lobo hardware. And the power supply's been removed, the line cord had been cut. It was very dirty and a mess inside. Pulled the power supply out. I've connected this ground lead back to the ground here. I've got a temporary line cord on here with the chassis ground to the metal frame. I'm bringing in AC power, the 120 volt AC on these two clip leads. This is just kind of my test line cord. I'm hoping the power supply is good. There's no way to know without testing it. And so the first thing I'm going to do here is test. The absolute first thing is do what I usually do in something like this. I pip the power just very quickly, just to make sure no smoke and fire come flying out. Let me get the voltmeter hooked up, get the ground on it. I'll be able to test the voltages on either one of these edge connectors here. The 120 volts out to the drives are on these two connectors here. This lead went off to a fuse block, and then there was a second fuse block for the power supply itself, and all that'll need to be rehooked up and redone. And when I clean up the wiring inside, it's dirty inside, but visual inspection has shown no burned components. You know, there's one power resistor down here that's definitely been warm. I may replace it just because it's obviously been warm. There's -5 over here, there's +5 over here, and there's the +24 over here. And the +24, it's written on here, is, where's it at? 3 amps, 3.4 amp peak. The +5 is 2.5 amps, and the -5 is 0.5 amp. So it's a pretty hefty power supply. It's designed to power two 8-inch floppy drives. There's 3 chips here that I'm assuming are all the same chip that are the voltage regulator chip. There's a couple of voltage adjust pots here. I have previously sprayed some contact cleaner down and just worked this pot back and forth. So really, I guess we can quickly apply power to it. I need to be, now actually that lead, either one of these leads is going to be hot. Although on this lead, the white lead itself is bringing out the neutral line of the 120 volt supply. I don't know if the fan will spin up. It's really dirty. It does rotate. Be nice if it worked. If not, I'm going to have to find a replacement. That's all basically safe. I'm not going to poke my arm on it. So let me, well, it's plugged in. I saw the lights flash momentarily as it came up. So no bad noises, no smoke. So let's poke around down here and see what we've got power supply rail wise. That looks like it's the +5 rail. It's low. I'm going to go ahead and adjust it up if it'll adjust. And the first thing I'm noticing here is it does adjust. So the regulator's got control of it. And it's set just at a little bit higher, just barely over 5 volts. That's excellent. Let's see, I believe that's another power rail or a ground. That's a ground. I think -5. -5 is low. The adjustment pot is right here. And I'm able to change the regulated voltage. That's a good sign. So we do have regulation. And we're able to adjust it. Let me get that back to -5 volts. The drives I've got don't use the -5 volt rail. So this is really redundant. And someplace along here I should find the +24. And it measures 37 volts. That's a little bit, actually a whole lot high at 37 volts. I did clean the pot here and torque it around. So let's, now we don't have regulation at all. So I'm guessing at this point we are seeing the full output of the filter capacitors here coming out. I can verify that right at the cap. Oh, I'm on the negative side of the cap. Let me get onto the positive side down here. And 38.3 volts. So 38.3, I was seeing 37.7, so there's about 0.6 of a volt drop, and it's not regulating. There's several things that could be. Could be a faulty voltage regulator IC. It could be a bad pass transistor. There's several things it could be on the board there. I don't have a schematic for this supply, but it's simple enough I can probably figure it out. And the fan's not spinning, sadly. So this fan is completely shot. The back half of the case this was in was submerged in something or very wet at one time. I've cleaned part of the cage. It's got an oily film to it that requires actually a detergent and some gentle persuasion to get to come off. The inside of this looks to have kind of that same nasty film on it. I will strip this down as far as I can and clean it. But before I do that, I want to make sure, just check to see if it's recoverable and can be reused. I'd really love to get the supply working again. So the voltage is bleeding off those caps. So really the question becomes, what's the issue over here? See if I can see the part numbers on these voltage regulator ICs. Where would I put the good glasses so I can get a peek down in there? That's not the pair I want. The glasses dance persists. So that's a 723N op amp. 723 and 723. So it'd be really nice if that guy was a dead IC. That would be by far the easiest to repair. The question becomes, can I get it out of here with it packed up tight against that capacitor? Wow, it's really not in a good spot for removal. If I can spot the pick laying here. Considering I was just using it a little while ago, it'll obviously be gone for several hours before it rematerializes in the universe I live in, because tools do like to vanish. So let's see if I can persuade the other side of him up out of there. Or maybe get up under him. Get him to hopefully come up out of that socket. With that cap right up tight against him, that's a difficult spot. I might be able to get the chip puller down in there and created a bit of a gap. Hopefully there's nothing live still holding charge in here. Bent pin, but I'm sure I did that on the way out of the socket. Let's pull one of this. All of these have a cap up tight against them. Let's pull one out from over here. Compare the part numbers. LM723 and LM723N. They are a 1 week different date code. The house part number is identical. This is the dirty one I just pulled from over there, I hope. Oh geez, now I don't know which one I pulled. Well, what I'm going to do is pull the last one to move over to here. Since we know the 5 volt rail had regulation. It'd be really nice if this was just a bad 723. So this was a working one. It's also really dirty, but I want to check the part number. 723N. Just checking to make sure I can see the notch. I see the notch in the socket. The question becomes, can I get this down in there? Because that's a really tight spot to work down in. And we'll bring these two over here. That's the one that was in the minus rail, I do believe. And I think this is the one that may be bad. So the notch aligns to the silkscreen. The silkscreen, interestingly, over here, from what I can see on this one, doesn't have a notch in it, but the socket did, and I do remember it being that orientation. We'll see if the problem moved. If it's a bad chip, it should have moved over to one of these two guys over here. It'd be sweet if that's what it was, because that's an easy fix. Hopefully I've not done something stupid like get a chip in backwards. Ah, we have 24 volt regulation over here. That is beautiful. That's exactly what I want to see. I have control of the rail. I can bring that right into 24 volts. I love it when it's just a socketed component fix. It doesn't get much nicer than that. Let's take a look at the +5 is there, and it's pretty much spot on. So the issue is going to be with the -5, which is currently minus 0.8 volts. So it's the guy over here that's bad. I have no control over. Yep. So this guy right here, bad IC. That's so much nicer than having like bad pass transistors over there. I'm really happy with that. That's the 5. The 24 is. Yep, plus 24.06. And it's just sitting there nice and solid. So I'll let this discharge for a minute. Get him out of there. LM723CN, I'm going to assume, this one being a 723N, that this should still be a good drop-in replacement. I know, assumptions don't always go your way. Swap him in. The real question becomes, do I want to replace all 3 of them with new ones? And I may actually do that just so we've got new National Semiconductor parts in there or newer. These are from the 80s. They are really old. Power supply is an important part. I don't want to drop 24 volt or 37 volts DC into that 24 volt power input on the hard drives themselves. So potentially having some more some newer chips might not necessarily be a bad thing. We've got our 24 volt regulation. +5 is still where I left it. And -5 is at minus 4.93, so we can bring that up. It's 4.9 or down, however you want to look at it. -5. Let this discharge for a minute. And I'm going to go ahead while I can and just replace all 3 of these op amps, or these. I'm assuming, I don't know what they are. LM723s. I keep calling them op amps. Nothing says they're actually op amps. They may actually be designed to be a voltage regulator IC. I just don't know. I don't recognize the part. But since I can, and I have new stock, this stock was bought from Jameco. JAMECO.com. I bought a linear IC kit that came with a a little drawer organizer and with new parts, just so I would have them here. I don't do a lot with linear stuff, but it's nice to have them on stock when you need them. Okay, I can't get under him. Let's see if I can get the chip puller in there again. Just go ahead and remove him. And that's, hopefully I've got one more in here. Yeah, there's one more there. Pins look clean. He's a 723. Kind of square up the shoulders here on the pins. Now it's going to be kind of that same battle to get him into the right spot down in there. How did I do this a minute ago? I have no clue how I got that down in there with my big old fingers a minute ago. How did I do this? I must have had some way of doing it. I have to go back and watch the video to figure out how I did this before. I don't like how he's aligned in the socket. There he goes. Pin 1s are all the right orientation. Happy with that. Get the better glasses on just to take one more peek, make sure I didn't bend a pin. Pins all look good. Oh, I love an easy fix. I love an easy fix. Let me get the common ground hook back up. I'm going to be really happy to put the original power supply back in that case. Just because the holes are already drilled for it and all that kind of stuff. So orientation looks good. One more time. A little bit lower there, 23.885, but we can bring that up. $24.02. We struggle to remember which one is which. Minus 5.04, that's fine, and this should be the plus 5, and it's 5.009 volts, so we are good. So I'm very happy with that. That was an easy fix. Next thing I'll do is release the two PC boards. I'll clean inside of the little case here as best I can. This was actually mounted on standoffs inside of the case, so there was an air gap underneath. Figure out what I'm going to do to replace the fan. It's a nice fan, and it is obviously very dead. It's interesting, it's coming off its own tap on the power supply. 115 volt. Well, it is what it is. I will wrap this up here as a successful, very easy fix. I'm really happy with that. So, 24 volts is still 24 volts. So, very nice. I'll wrap this video up. It'll be a short one, and I'll see you in a future video.